You should have listened. They're already here. The trailers told of their return. The end of Season 1 was merely delay. No one wanted to believe, and when the truth finally dawns, it dawns in lulls. But there's one they fear. In their tongue, he is Ladasphere. Bouncybhall.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, it's Series 2. We made it to Series 2. We were only going 3 episodes, but now we've already had 7 official ones and a load of extra ones as well. So congratulations for sticking with us. We've had a bit of a break and we've come back all fresh with a brand new intro as well. So I kind of surprise you all with this amazing, stirring intro. And if you wish to stand up and salute while you're doing this, feel free. We won't hold it against you. We might actually send you a badge.
Welcome to the Lolocaustic Flat. This is Britain 2012, and we are the Lolocaust. Over the next 14 weeks, Bouncybhall will be dissembling his cogitations for your listening pleasure in the manner befitting a gentleman, because that's British. Dr Hamhock will be standing outside a co-op late shop with a team of stern-faced beefeaters, nodding in stern disapproval at the youths sat on the low wall by the bus stop. Because that's British. Nerf Derma will be lurking behind the Apple store and glassing unsuspecting customers with half a broken Dad's Army box set. Because that's British. Scarred Star will be putting on a horse and punching a field, because that's British. And DalekSex will be playing Sinclair QL games by the light of a burning Ford Fiesta, because that's British. We're back, and we're backing Britain. We are 2012. We are cricket. We are cream. We are Codemasters. We are Rubber Keys. We are the Lolocaust. And that's British.
So there you go. Yes, there you go. That is British. It is 2012. I have a little flag here left over from the Jubilee, and I was waving that intently throughout that music. So I think now's the perfect time to play this piece of music that's going to perfectly introduce my good friend DalekSex. And unfortunately, I forgot to load the correct piece of music, so this music's totally unsuitable. But it doesn't matter. So here's his intro for this week's show.
May I have your attention, please? We've had to stop running the ride because of the weather. However, we hope to be back in operation as soon as conditions improve, and we are keeping the queue lines open. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation.
So there you go. Hello, Dalek.
Hang on, I wasn't listening, the toilets broke. Can you give me the teaspoon? Not the good one. The one that's been in the diabetic sweetener. There's something I have to dig out.
That's fine. You help yourself. There's a whole rack of utensils there.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it's the size of a house brick.
It's the trick of the light. It's not as big. Just stick your hand in. Give it a wiggle. That's the best trick to do.
Can you give me the gloves?
No, you get no gloves. You fill it, you move it.
Better get overtime for this.
It's your own. It's your own. I don't have to pay you to clear in your own effluent. Alright.
I'll have you know that my Nipsey is as pristine and tight as Justin Bieber's. There is no way I produced that monstrosity. That is Meatloaf's daughter, sir.
Wow, what a brilliant introduction to our first subject. Justin Bieber, tight anuses, paedophiles.
Are we on air?
Yes, we're on air.
Oh shit.
And we're going to talk about paedophiles. Would you like to run with this one?
If we can possibly avoid my name being put on some sort of register, then go ahead. What's on your mind, Bouncy?
Well, this week, Habbo Hotel was suddenly unveiled as a haven for paedophiles by Channel 4 News. And unknowingly to me, it seems that Channel 4 News were unaware that these online chat communities are sometimes used for unsuitable behaviour. And
okay, so how exactly did this go down? How did they find this out?
they sent an adult female journalist into the murky world of Habbo Hotel, posing as an 11-year-old girl, and she was propositioned with numerous questions and requests to go onto MSN or Skype and to see what she would do on camera, and she was surprised by that.
And this is news, is it? This is news that people use the internet to try to groom oh, Jesus Christ.
It's news on Channel 4. Christian Guru Murphy has to come up with news from somewhere.
You see, I remember when Habbo was harmless back in the day, back in the glory days of Anonymous. We used to dress up in blackface and block the pool, and it was all good, harmless fun. And now it's all just gone wrong. I'll tell you what's better news than that. You ever heard of Scout?
I haven't, no.
Scout, spelt S-K-O-U-T, is a online flirting app. It uses GPS so that you can see where the person you are scouting with. It already sounds paedophilic, doesn't it? So it shows you where the person you are scouting is on your Google map or whatever. It has a section for 13 to 17-year-olds.
Nice.
And the thing I like most about this particular story is that the headline that brought it up was "Scout suspended after third child raped." You see, the first child and the second child, that was sort of like that was just random. But 3 is the magic number.
Well, it is, isn't it? It is.
Yeah. In his defense, Christian Wickland, the creator of Scout.com, or as he will probably now be known, Mr. Rape Enabler, says that Scout is equipped with a system called the Creepinator, which filters out potential nonces. And he says that tens of thousands of accounts are revoked every month. Do you know what that says to me? It says you shouldn't be pimping a service for locating 13-year-olds who want to flirt via GPS.
Yeah, I think that's very clear. Habbo Hotels kind of owners had a similar thing where they said that they had a team of moderators working on their watching.
I've met Habbo's mad moderators
watching their stream at all times, and that between them they filter out any unsuitable content. Obviously, they can't.
They really don't.
There's just the maths alone worked out that each individual, if they work for 24 hours a day, would have to see 13,000 messages. Which I'm not sure if they're hiring kind of the bionic man, but I'm pretty confident that I couldn't stream through 13,000 comments in a day on what is essentially a pixel-based chat site. Especially when you've got access to the internet at the same time, that's a hit to productivity. Just think how many dancing cat YouTube videos have resulted in a child being molested on Habbo Hotel.
Not just molested, no, actually raped. There are 3 children who have been raped through Scout now. And I think obviously the internet is horrible, but I think that sets some kind of new record.
It does. But then surely the issue here is not so much whether these sites exist, but the fact that these children are on the sites in the first place, and then their parents wait 10 years for a news article to say, have you actually checked what your daughter's talking about on this site? Have you seen who your son's talking to? Have you seen the photos he's been taking of himself and sending across the internet? That, I think, is more of an issue than the creation of the sites alone.
I don't think we can lay all the blame at the parents' door. I remember when I first discovered the internet, being an internet geek myself. I mean, when I first discovered chat groups, it was sort of, in terms of sexual liberation, it was like a necrophile finding the keys to the morgue.
Nice. Well,
I like to keep it classy.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why we have you here. That's why we have you here. So yeah. So well, it's an interesting story. It's still developing. It's only started kicking off today, and now Tesco's and WH Smiths have pulled out the Habbo cards that allow you to buy furniture because nobody wants to sell furniture to a paedophile. That's what Tesco's are essentially saying. They will sell anything. They will put farmers out of business and cause suicides, but they will not sell virtual furniture to paedophiles. Put that on your website, Tesco's, if you dare. WH Smith, I expect it from. But Tesco's, you sicken me with your... Yeah. Anyway,
could I ask that you stop making me laugh, because I actually have the laugh of a little girl. I'm sitting here saying, "We are Britain, we are the Holocaust," and then you say something, and I'm like, "Yee!"
I can't.
And you're just ruining my.
I can't help that.
My public image.
All right, well, we'll go from paedophiles to rape, shall we? I think that's a logical step.
I thought we already did that.
No, this is now rape of a slightly older teen. This is Lara Croft and her friends being raped.
She is getting a bit long in the puppies are hitting the pan by now.
Well, this is the younger, the reboot of Lara Croft, and by reboot they mean a boot to the stomach to bend her over so a man can take her roughly from behind without consent. Apparently.
Oh, is it from behind?
I don't know.
I like those.
It's the point.
Like in the German movie De Kus. that scene is from behind.
Stay on target, sir. Stay on target. So Lara Croft. We've all played a Lara Croft game at some point. Hopefully, anyway. Or if you haven't, you know what they are. You know what we're playing with. We're talking about one of the strongest female gaming characters of all time, running around, shooting wild animals, murdering hundreds of people, and robbing graves. She's now being rebooted and being given sort of almost an origin story that sets up this strong female character. And obviously the best way to set up a strong female character is to put her through a really harrowing and torturous experience. And so her adventures on a mystery island after a boat sinks against a load of men who are very violent and abusive and nasty. And a lot of people are now jumping on it, saying, is it right for the developers to suggest that we would prefer to protect a young female than project ourselves onto the young female and have those adventures? So what's your thoughts on that then, Mr. Dalek?
I'm actually a bit reluctant to weigh in on this issue because a million years ago when I was a student, I wrote an article for Rapide for a magazine called Total Control, which was pretty good. Not the magazine, not the article. And it was on the development of strong female characters. And I said that Lara Croft is probably the strongest female character that we've got. Because, I mean, obviously she is exploitative. She's got big tits and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's always, it's the same with Hollywood. That's always going to be part of the course. They have to make the character appealing. She is the first female character we've had in gaming that doesn't, for a long time, that doesn't have to define herself as a love interest. Basically, she doesn't have to define herself by the need for a male figure. And I actually got hate mail for that. The magazine got hate mail for me saying that Lara Croft was a step forward. I mean, I wasn't condoning Lara Croft. Obviously, it was massively exploitative at the time. But even the idea had a bunch of right-on Ben Elton types frothing at the tank like piranhas with a ham hock dropped into the tank, champing at the bits. So, in my experience, you are never, ever going to do anything right in these circumstances. It's best to analyze the issue with cold precision, and that is precisely what I intend to do. So does she get her tits out?
Well, okay, so you seem to be taking a similar stance to Lolocaust's friend Jim Sterling, where he said, weighing up these arguments, everybody's wrong and everybody's right at the moment. And until the game comes out, we know exactly what form it's going to take. Then I suppose it's mere conjecture, and kind of we're arguing a point over nothing at all. So there you go, that's it covered. There you go, Lolocaust people. It's been covered.
We can tick that box now.
We can tick that box. And we could play a bumper as a reward. This is one of your bumpers. So we'll play this now, and then we'll move on to our next topic, which is a massive failing. Which is always
Touch my bumper. Bouncyball. He used to write his own jokes, but then he took an arrow to the knee.
So there you go. There you go. Lovely little bumper there. Well done. Congratulations. You can have a Mars bar. So, talking about big failures now, going on from big boobs to big boobs, literally and figuratively. THQ have announced that they might have a slight financial lead weight around their neck with their U-Draw gaming tablet device for Wii, Xbox and PlayStation 3. Any idea how many copies of this rather brilliant piece of kit that has huge lag, requires batteries, and doesn't do anything anywhere near as good as an iPad or Android tablet might have left on there in their warehouses? Dalek, any guess at all?
I can't talk at the moment. I got the caramel from the Mars bar halfway off the nougat with my teeth.
Right.
Okay, that's got it. Okay, sorry, radio voice again.
Yes, radio voice.
This is kind of symptomatic of the whole way the market is going. The Wii U is going to fail because Nintendo is saying, you need a new tablet to do this. The whole business model of, you need more shit in your house, is out of the window now. And that is why TomTom has been destroyed by mobile phones. MP3 players are being destroyed by mobile phones, with the exception of the iPod. What else has gone out of the window? Digital cameras are down massively because all phones have a camera. They just launched the new Nokia Lumia at a show in Spain. 40 megapixel camera on that motherfucker. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
And all of the technologies are coming together, and that's why Nintendo have misread the market badly with Wii U, because they've said, you need a tablet for your controller. And Microsoft has straight away said, with Project Glass, well, can't you just do that with a normal tablet?
Yeah.
And, complete mess.
Yeah. But we'll get to Smart Glass in a minute, because obviously that's something that's quite a bit of a coup for the gaming world. But yeah, so this U-Draw, they have 1.4 million unsold tablets. And this doesn't take into account how many are actually in the stores at the moment. These are ones that retailers haven't bought yet. Now, I know from buying one myself recently at Morrison's, they'd reduced it from, I think it was about £55 to a tenner, and I thought for a tenner I'll buy that just for the achievements alone and some sort of tool to keep my children quiet. 1.4 million seems quite a lot to have produced. I think they may have been a little bit overeager with that one, whether they did some kind of job lot deal from Motorola and bought a load of equipment. But yeah, so THQ,
it's like very playbook all over again.
They are going to have a bit of an issue there. It's the end.
AHDVD on the chat, which I'm going to pronounce DVD.
Yeah.
Says DalekSex sounds like Michael Caine when he's eating. Can I do a Michael Caine voice?
Yeah. Do you have to eat at the same time? Or can you do it without?
I can do it without.
Right, go on.
I can drink at the same time. I'm always happy to drink at the same time I'm doing anything. Do you know that I've been in 8,495 different films? And only 3 of them have been any bloody good! And quite a lot of people know that.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
You feel better? We'll wait for HDD to see whether he agrees. Whether
we will have to wait for critical reviews.
We will. I keep getting messages saying as well that the audio is a bit up and down tonight. The microphone I'm using is a very old microphone, and it seems to want to make me a lot quieter sometimes and very loud the others. So rather than burst your eardrums, we're going for trying to get a happy medium. So I do apologise if I'm quiet. The best trick I can say is, he's clapping. There you go. He's clapping at your impression there.
I was hoping it was a girl. I wouldn't have done it if I'd known it was male.
Yeah, well, DVD. Now it's DVD. There you go. So, right.
Are you using a Mac?
Am I using a Mac?
Yeah, to record this show.
Do I sound like the sort of person that will be using a Mac when I'm using like 5-year-old microphones?
You've got an iPad.
I do have an iPad, but that's about the limit of the technical advantages I have computer-wise.
Having an Apple product is not a technical advantage.
I'm using an Acer Aspire shop-bought kit jobby.
Oh, I've got one of them!
There you go. So,
Went all pike for a minute there.
yeah. So, right, so that's THQ. Have you got something to say?
THQ?
I know, we've done THQ.
What do you-
Would you like to talk about somebody else losing a load of money? While we're on that subject.
Well, there's Zynga. I mean, Facebook shares are down, obviously, but I think Zynga have really set the record this month. Zynga are having their third straight month of shrinkage, which
Shrinkage.
I'm sure you can identify with. Last Tuesday, they lost 10% of their share value in one day. Since December, 5 billion has been wiped off their estimated value, and investors have sold, their shareholders have sold $500 million worth of their shares. What do you think of that?
I'm laughing intensely.
Well, obviously, you're laughing intensely. I mean, in a world where we are being told constantly that dollar apps are the big threat, casual gaming is the big threat, what does that say if they're failing now?
I think, if anything, what it says is that there are great apps that do great amount of money for a short period of time, and what Zynga seemed to represent was, right, we've done one that's worked, now we'll try and do another one, then we'll do another one, then we'll do another one, then we'll do another one, and eventually it gets to the point where people say, well, hang on a minute, what's the sustainability when you go from X million number of users one week to less than a million number of users the following week on that game, because everybody's either migrated or they've just realised that they don't want to play this so-called free-to-play but essentially useless unless you pay up game. Now there are ways of doing it right. There are companies that have made a good fair amount of money without raping the wallets of their consumers, but what Zynga represent is the most hostile, aggressive form of that business model, and I think they've kind of, if anything, the fact they were ever valued that much seems a bit of an oversight from anybody that's ever had any intelligence whatsoever, because it's just not something that long term is ever going to be sustainable. It has to be constant innovation and evolution. Well
done, Bouncy. You have presented the correct answer, and you shall have a Ferrero Rocher.
Excellent, thank you.
Although not the Raffaello, those are mine. I think the problem is that the business model of casual gaming is the way to go, but the economics themselves has yet to catch up on it. I mean, do you remember when, who was it that got bought for $1 billion? Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram got bought for $1 billion a few months ago. In the same month, Zynga bought OMG Pop and Draw Something for $180 million. What happened with that? 2 weeks later, everyone's bored of it. I'm bored of it. Are you bored of it?
I moved on to the other one that I play, like Charadium 2, which is far better. It had a multiplayer mode live.
Paul from the Gamescast has moved on to that too. I got an invitation from him, and I clicked that, and it said this app is not working, so I didn't play it. But my point is that it's an... have you ever heard the phrase agile development?
Yes, I have.
Yes, it's something that gets bandied about a lot in project management these days. It's the environment of IT projects is agile, but the economic model isn't. So they see something that's doing well, and they go, quick, jump on this, and they invest hundreds of millions in Zynga's case, billions in Facebook's case, and then 2 weeks later the bubbles burst. Yeah. So there's nothing, in my view, there's nothing wrong with the market. It's it's sort of like the print media having to catch up with the internet all over again, exactly. But in an economic sense.
Exactly, it's all very transient, isn't it? And also
Tranny.
The advantage for the gamer in these games is that you don't really have to pay anything to try them out, and then you can move on to the next big thing and move on to the next big thing. And for the developers, you have to be the person that's providing the next best thing for that to ever work, which is where obviously Zynga rode high on the Farmville bubble. At one point, I remember reading that 1% of the total global population was playing Farmville, which is a huge, huge figure, and obviously something that would cause a certain bubble to form. But obviously, A, how many of those people are just people with cloned accounts so they can send each other stuff? B, are we really saying that 1% of the population is actually, live still?
It's sort of like the Church of Scientology claiming they are the fastest growing religion in the world when they count every single person who has ever taken a leaflet off them since the 1950s as being Scientologists.
Well, the Lolocaustic is officially the fastest growing podcast in the world because we've basically added 100% contributor month on month. Not many podcasts can say that. Most of them tend to lose them. We're constantly getting bigger, which feeds me in nicely to our good friend Dr Hamhock has produced something very special for us. He runs a website called snoozenight.com, which takes a wry eye over the world of politics and news and stuff like that. If you want to go and check that out, it's very good. Snoozenight.com, I'm assuming. It might be .co.uk. I've not checked. I've got it bookmarked. If you haven't got it bookmarked, then shame on you. So this is him using his Noozebot to help us out with a gaming story. So I'll pass you over to Hamhock, and you can go from there.
Mr. Ball and Mr. Sex have asked me to bring along the Snooze Night Noozebot. It's a very advanced piece of technology which may threaten the jobs of 2-bit lazy journalists up and down the country. My automated Noozebot takes long-winded, churned, or just badly written news reports, or just...
That's not what it's supposed to sound like at all.
I told you that sound file didn't work and you didn't believe me.
Oh, wow, there you go. I'll try and upload it while we talk. I have another copy of it,
okay.
So we'll see what we can do.
Okay, in the meantime, I'll say some sexy things to pad the time out. We are the Lolocaust, and we bring the pain. The pain to fix the correct window above the broken letter L of the Rumbelows sign. It's quite drafty. Bouncy, you've got to get that fixed. If you don't get it fixed, Hamhock's going to get in. He's been on the roof since the first series. He's going to be hungry by now. And he's not having my Reese's cups.
No. I think I figured out how to get it in. I think I've got it worked out. Right, we're going to try something new here. We're going to try playing it without actually putting it into the speaker console. We're going to run...
Told them you couldn't be trusted with technology.
We're going to try a load of iTunes and then from the window run it in and feed it in live. So this is proper. This is gaffer tape podcasting here. People learn from this. We've got terrible audio. We've got audio files that are now deciding to play twice as fast as they need to play. So we'll try. This might work. It might not. Who knows? Here we go.
Mr. Ball and Mr. Sex have asked me to bring along the Snooze Night Noozebot. It's a very advanced piece of technology which may threaten the jobs of 2-bit lazy journalists up and down the country. My automated Noozebot takes long-winded, churned, or just badly written news reports, or just headlines.
That didn't work either because I turned the volume down. Right. Okay. I'm going to give this one more go. Dalek and I just go to quiet. We'll just play it in the background. But he's put a lot of effort into this, bless him, and I'm screwing it up for him. So I apologise, Hock. I know you're listening out there as well, which makes it worse. So here we go. Dr Hamhock's Snoozebot.
Mr. Ball and Mr. Sex have asked me to bring along the Snooze Night Noozebot. It's a very advanced piece of technology which may threaten the jobs of 2-bit lazy journalists up and down the country. My automated Noozebot takes long-winded, churned, or just badly written news reports, or just headlines, and converts them into 300 words of easily digestible, concise, and clearly understandable articles of joy. For the first time, my Noozebots will take on some video game news from Eurogamer this week. Okay, let's turn the Noozebot on. hear me?
Yes.
Can you see the headline?
Yes.
Okay. Give me your installation text.
I am equipped with the Quantic battery and 27,000 copies of the Metro online edition.
Okay. Let's pop this headline into the machine, shall we? Twisted Metal's David Jaff, working on free-to-play shooter, says, I hate free-to-play, but I love aspects of it. 18 comments. Oh, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Twisted Metal and God of War director David Jaff is currently working on a free-to-play shooter. He stated this week that I hate free-to-play, but I love aspects of it.
Nice. Anything else?
He hates what he is working on and loves what he is working on. In the interview, David showed his hate for any adjectives other than love or hate and shared just how much he loves stuff.
Thanks. And?
David spoke to Lolocaustic without depth on his binary approach to the descriptive process by stating that it helps the whole creative process. He is currently in talks with Facebook, trying to put pressure on the company to replace like with love or hate. The 64-pixel icon of David's face will replace the thumbs up sign.
Nice. Anything else? Noozebot?
David finished with a flurry, saying that without love and hate the whole games industry would be reduced to an 8 out of 10. Quote, haters would love that, but I'd become a hater myself. I'd become a hater of anything non-love and hate related, which you would also love to hate to love.
Right, thank you. Thanks for that. That was really good.
Dr. Hamhock,
Yeah?
do you want to give me a name?
From now on, your name will be the Lolocaust Snoozebot.
Lolocaust Noozebot. But I thought...
What?
I thought I was alive, and I thought you were going to carry on calling me Kara.
No.
I am scared.
Okay. Sing something in Japanese and I'll think about it.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing.
So there you go. Finally, we got there, eventually. And very
I
good.
enjoyed that more than I thought I would. That was sort of reminiscent of the Third Doctor and Joe Grant in Strangmore Prison in The Mind of Evil.
Yeah, there's the tragic fact is that while recording that, Hamhock was probably in his little cubicle, alone with the Noozebot, with his pants round his ankles, and slowly stroking himself while listening to that digitised old man's voice, speaking.
Too much information, sir.
Well, you know, apparently, according to the Idiot's Guide to Podcasting, which I should have read more intently if I didn't want to fuck it up, it does say that you need to paint a visual picture for people. So there you go, there's a visual picture. Dr. Hamhock sitting on the toilet talking to a robot that has the voice of an old man but is confused about its personality and thinks it's a young lady. But it was very good, and thank you very much to Hock for providing that for us. I can only apologise for mucking it up so badly. So yes, so there we go. Dr. Hamhock, he will be providing more of those at a later date. Apparently I just have to set him an unfair deadline, and he'll always provide. Which is good. That's what I expect from staff. Isn't that right, Dalek?
What?
Yes, right. Okay.
Sorry, I was playing Smurf Village.
Oi, you can put your... I don't care if your strawberries are going to go rotten.
Shit. Just reminded me, I really do need to play Smurf Village.
Well, I don't care. Monkeys.
Fuck.
Never mind your Smurf Village. Your Smurf Village can die. Gargamel can come along and take
Your fucking Smurf Village can die. This is important.
Don't you? I can hear it. I can hear you in the kitchen playing with your Smurfs. Oh, how dare you! How dare you! I should.
Oh yes, fucking save them.
You. I'll get you. I'll get you, Smurfs.
Reminding me.
Okay, well, right. Smurf Villages aside, I think actually, there you go, that takes us nicely to E3. Apparently, because that's the next thing on my notes.
Yes, best E3,
Best E3
ever. Square Enix announced Chrono Trigger 3, Nintendo announced that they are going to be translating Mother 3 and giving it a release on the on the 3DS rather. There's going to be a massively multiplayer version of Sid Meier's Pirates. Sega and Red have announced that Sakura Wars Quadrilogy is coming to mobile platforms. THQ is completely dropping Vince McMahon's WWE franchise in favor of making games about TNA Impact Wrestling. And Ubisoft announced that they have reassembled all the original members of Looking Glass Studios and are making an Assassin's Creed and Thief crossover.
Now listen carefully, Dalek. I've told you before. I know it was disappointing, but you can't retreat into this fantasy world.
This is not a fantasy world. This is the E3 special briefing. It takes place every year in the cupboard under the stairs in the Lolocaust flat. There is only one ticket, and I own it. And what happens is I announce all the games that are going to happen in the next year, and then drink until I go to sleep, crying, curled up around the radiator, and dream of playing them.
Right. But, as disappointing as it was, there were a few highlights, I feel. Would you agree that Smart Glass is possibly incredible?
Smart Glass is a difficult one, because I was wanking over it on the Gamescast the other night. The interesting thing is, what have Microsoft actually achieved by announcing it? They said on the Mature Gamer podcast last week, as if you are Mr. E3 for Microsoft, then your job is basically to make sure that I keep giving you money for the next year. Smart Glass is supposedly a free app on your pad or smartphone that augments your games.
That's it.
So basically, while I love the idea of Smart Glass, it pretty much has no function to the company apart from them to put the boot in on Nintendo.
Well, that's exactly
which is funny, but you know, it's I can't help feeling it's a little bit spiteful, but on the other hand, I don't really care, because this is the year when Nintendo pisses it all up against the wall. It really is.
It is, as I said when I guested on the Gamescast myself, after I was finally asked. After they go,
ooh, get her!
The lackey got asked first. Hey, Boydster, now you're listening. I see you in the chat, watching you with my evil eye. It was only when you went away I got asked. I wonder why that was. You balding git. For me, it stank of, we know Nintendo have announced this console, we know it's going to be expensive, how can we kind of get in? But then at the same time, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I can play a Command & Conquer game using a touchpad control and not have to buy an extra peripheral to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, that's enough. If they just bring out that one game and the app is free, it's a winner. I don't care. I'll
tell you what I'd like to see more than Smart Glass.
Yeah, go on.
Oculus Rift.
Go on.
Apparently, it's a 360-degree VR system. I think I'll have to Google this, but I think it's John Carmack who is very excited about this at the moment. He says it's better than any home VR system that's being developed out there. It is John Carmack. He says he's had a look at all the VR helmets that people are developing for home use, and Oculus Rift is the best of them, and he's going to back it. Now, on the one hand, you can appreciate the power that a name like John Carmack gives to a project like that. On the other hand, have you ever watched Dragon's Den?
I have indeed.
You've seen the episodes where somebody has invented like a robot hand that wanks the dog off when the vicar's coming.
That's the one.
So you don't. So you don't have to put on a marigold and do it yourself. And this person's like sold their house and is living in their car to fund it. whenever somebody comes out with enthusiasm for technology like this, it kind of seems to me to be coming from the same place. So I will say that it sounds great because, you know, the lack of peripheral vision has been a bugbear of first-person shooting since forever. And it's great that John Carmack is raving about it, but let's be reserved about whether he's raving it in a good way or raving about it in a Men in White Coats way.
Yeah. Well, you know, that wasn't officially announced as part of one of the big three conferences, though, was it? So
no, it wasn't.
That's not what we're talking about. But no. It's. I think it's one of those times where the gaming. I think with the Gadget Show, they did that simulator for Battlefield 3, where they had the whole moving floor and 360 projection and motion control, where they kind of made that as interactive and as kind of involving as possible. I think we're heading towards, whereas the next generation may not be so much about the power of the actual device, but actually how that device is interacted with. I think that's kind of, for me, that's what it seems to be coming across as. On that subject, Sony, with their cross-play interactivity between the Vita and the PlayStation 3, has actually got me quite excited. I did plump and buy a Vita a couple of weeks ago, and you know,
Twat.
Yeah, well, you know, I've heard them all. I've had Scarred Star around here. He was trying to find the door that I was holding it open with, but I couldn't find it because it was on charge because the battery life's not very good. But other than that, the device is fine. I adore the device. I want Little Big Planet. I want Little Big Planet Karting. I want those games. What they announced at E3, it was brilliant, was that, and it kind of got extended in other videos. While somebody's playing, this is brilliant. I don't know if you even saw this, but while somebody's playing the PlayStation 3 version of Little Big Planet 2, I can be playing it on the Vita, and I can play a level that is independently designed. So I could be playing an Asteroids clone while they're playing in a circular room, and if I tilt my controller, it'll change the room for the other player. Now, the griefing possibilities of this are immense, and frankly, if my Vita allows me to really piss off 100,000 PlayStation owners in the course of a year, it's paid for itself. But on a more kind of serious style, that kind of non-direct interaction is quite nice. There's also crossplay between some games, so you buy it on one, you own it on both, and user base from both can play multiplayer together, which I think is an important feature that is a good one for Sony. But
I believe they're calling it asymmetrical gaming.
Yes, that's the word that I didn't write down. I wrote crossplay plus games on my notes. But yes, asymmetrical gaming, but it's another good step.
Do you know what asymmetrical gaming is? It's Mario Galaxy where you could fucking ping stars at the screen. It's crap.
No, I disagree on that. Mario Galaxy where you ping stars game was crap.
Crap.
That was crap. I'm saying this has got potential to be better. That's all, because you're on equal grounds. If you're playing MotorStorm RC, which is a great little racing game, then you know you can go up against a PlayStation owner on the exact same title on the exact same track with no noticeable difference, and that's good.
If we've got to say positive things about the E3, I'm going to have to crack open a second bottle. Obviously, the knives are out for Wii U this year,
Yeah.
but I mean the tablet controller is an awful idea. Everybody, do you remember when DS came out and everybody had to come up with a touchscreen controller thing, whether they wanted to or not?
I do.
And then we had Wii, and everybody had to come up with a Wiimote waggle for their game, whether they wanted to or not, and it was really obtrusive. The Wii U is going to be 1,000,000 times worse. But, having said that, I have actually seen one game which uses it in a brilliant way. Can you guess what it is?
No, go on.
Okay. Ubisoft are rebooting their Atari ST and Amiga game Zombie.
Gee, I was going to say that. I even have that
Zombie
written down.
U.
Yeah, Zombie U. It was the first ever
Now,
game they released.
Any of these ideas for ways in which to use the Wii U tablet are fucking awful. Inventory screen, you have to look away from the screen to do it. Stupid. Racing games, we give you a map. You have to look away from the screen. Stupid. This is the one place I have seen where people have taken the idea of looking away from the screen and breaking the flow of the game in a way that it could actually add to it. It's like Douglas Adams said when he was writing the Infinite Improbability Drive. The solution to an intractable problem is to use the weight fit against itself. So in Zombie U, you will be messing with your inventory and playing inventory Tetris with your ammo and green herbs or whatever, while zombies are actually bearing down on you on the main screen, which is how it would be in real life. And I think that's an awesome idea. I'm not convinced that the machine isn't going to crash and burn, but I thought it was worth mentioning because, credit where credit is due.
Yes. Well, I think Ubisoft actually, if anything, they've provided the saving grace for a lot of the controversy because they obviously were behind Watch Dogs, which is phenomenally kind of great concept of having a sandbox game where you can actually control the city as well as your character via kind of various nefarious means. I don't know if did you see the gameplay trailer for that?
I did not, but
Okay.
I have heard good things about it. Penny Arcade this week, I think, gave the best comment, which was, Ubisoft's lineup for the Wii U is not terrible. How can this be fucking happening?
Well, yeah, but the same with the 3DS, as I said when I was on a Gamescast. Ubisoft provided some solid games for that launch. They're providing some solid games for the Wii U launch. Rayman Legends is looking pretty good, for the interactivity, the near-field communication stuff, because I've got Skylanders. We love Skylanders to have that kind of working.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Rayman stuff, it's not... If you compare it to the iconic platform games in 2D that shaped our childhoods, like Mario and Sonic, I mean, it's not on a par with them, but it's by no means shovelware either.
No. But then, you see, this is the thing. A lot of people look at Ubisoft and say, well, shovelware. Well, I'd say Assassin's Creed. I'd say Splinter Cell. I'd say Watch Dogs. I'd say, the Driver franchise when they did that. They did do that.
It becomes shovelware, though, doesn't it? I mean, Assassin's Creed 1, intriguing. Assassin's Creed 2, masterpiece. 3, 4, 5...
Yeah. But again, that's... What's important, I think, to remember, regardless... If you're into the Assassin's Creed franchise, if you were bitten and you've liked every game, you're going to want more. You're going to keep going with it. What Ubisoft haven't done is said, right, we've got one franchise, we're going to stick with it. It's not they're not Infinity Ward. They're not doing that. So, you've got, obviously, bigger franchise and all that.
It's not Mario Party, is it?
No. Thank God it's not Mario Party. Or thank God even more so, it's not that bloody... it wasn't Sonic Party. Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam was terrible. That was like Mario Party with all of the fun taken out. And extra isometric Sonic characters shoved in for good measure.
I think what we can agree is that shovelware is a state of mind.
It is, and it's also useful sometimes because it gives elderly relatives a game to buy for £2 at co-op.
I just played through all of the NCIS game on the 3DS, speaking of shovelware.
And did you enjoy NCIS on the 3DS?
It wasn't too bad, actually. The only problem was they very, very obviously ran out of money 4 levels in and ended the game then.
Well,
one of the characters just basically steps out of nowhere and says, "Ha, it was me all along," and then the credits roll.
Brilliant. That works. That's at least it's
but they
ended.
got everything else. They was just spot on.
Yeah.
Dinozo carries the whole game. Dinozo makes the movie references. He badgers the rest of the team to the point where they want to punch him. Brass that's not Brass. Brass is from CSI, isn't he? McGee steps in and clips him around the ears sometimes. It's lovely. It's a really lovely game. It's just, they ran out of money, just like Dark Void and a million other games nowadays, which suddenly and abruptly end with no warning.
I think this podcast has a danger of that. If I'm not careful, I may just abruptly hit the wrong button because I've ran out of concentration. But yeah, it's all right. Well, I'm going to talk about the one film, right? That was one game rather. Get me onto film now. The one game that I think, despite with Watch Dogs and Beyond Two Souls and all that stuff, That all looks great, all very exciting. The one game that I didn't think going into E3 I would come out wanting to have so badly, salivating even, Need for Speed Most Wanted. And it pains me to think that the game of the show could be a Need for Speed game. But I don't know, have you played Burnout Paradise at all, Dalek?
I have played Burnout Paradise. I enjoyed it very much.
Yes, well, you may be aware that the Lolocaust was formed. The crucible of the Lolocaust was Burnout Paradise. Criterion created the perfect social gaming environment for my type of gaming. And with Need for Speed Most Wanted, it is all but name Burnout Paradise 2. And that is all I needed to know. There are cars in the game with Burnout and Paradise written on the number plates. There are auto shops that you can drive through and change the colour of your car. They've got rid of all the drive into a bloody garage and tweak your car and put a new hood on. Nobody wanted that. Drive through auto repairs, but also retaining some of the aspects of the Need for Speed franchise, like the speed trap run missions and things. It's got potential.
My relationship with driving games has taken a turn for the stalkerish since I bought a 3DS. Because since I started playing driving games on the 3DS, I'm just pissed off at every other game for not being 3D. So I even played Need for Speed The Run from beginning to end. That's how bad things have got.
On the 3DS, this is, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
The one with QuickTime events where you have to press X to not crash.
I played it through on 360 over the course of 2 days.
It's not good, is it?
Well, what was interesting is... I'll break down my view on Need for Speed games. I think it's relevant now. I had a customer come in the shop the week that game came out. Now, I'd rented it prior to release, and I'd finished it prior to release. So that gives you a very short window of how long it took me to complete that game. Then I had to sell that at full price to people when they came in the shop, or suggest that they rent it. I was happy. If they want to come in and buy a Need for Speed game, they can come in and buy a Need for Speed game. One guy brings it back, wants a full refund because he didn't like it, and I refused to give it back. And the argument I gave was, with the Need for Speed franchise, it's less a series of sequels, but it's more a collective that represents a range of different games under one brand, essentially. And so for every kind of hot pursuit, you've got a run. For every run, you've got a Most Wanted or a Shift or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with mixing it up. And what they did with the run was essentially try to give a racing game a plot. And that's kind of the fault there, really. When I tried it at Eurogamer, we just played the Avalanche level. And out of context, that seemed quite exciting to think, if the whole game's this, racing along mountains and snow falling on roads, it would have been amazing. And it was kind of promised that was what we would be getting. And instead it was kind of like... It was a mixture of the Cannonball Run, the Fast and the Furious, all by the route of Some Others Do Have 'Em. And not as good as that sounds either. But in its own right, it had every kind of justifiable to have that Need for Speed name on it. But it's not a great game on its own ground. And I don't think it's a reflection of specifically on the Criterion Need for Speed games, which Hot Pursuit was a great game. And Most Wanted is really... like I say, Burnout Paradise 2 / Most Wanted. It's on my list. It's pre-ordered. If you want to order it from Blockbusters, people, you go in and ask for Need for Speed 2012.
I've got my pre-order for Lollipop Chainsaw fired up.
Good man. I've got it here. You know that. I've been playing it this morning.
Yes, you cunt.
And it's brilliant. I was listening to the Mature Gamer podcast, and Kev was talking rather unfairly about Lollipop Chainsaw. He said it wasn't very good, and that he couldn't get used to the camera, and he couldn't hit the zombies on the floor. And when you're playing through it, there's a button to hit zombies on the floor. So obviously he's a one-button kind of gamer. So, boo.
Obviously. While driving games are on the table, can I ask you whether you ever played Harm's Way on the Xbox LA?
Yes, it was the free downloadable one, wasn't it? Where you could
free downloadable one
turret
where one player
or
drives a car,
yes,
and the other player takes a sniper position and tries to snipe the other drivers through their windscreen or blow their tyres out.
That's it, yes, I have played it.
So if any of our listeners haven't played that, go and give that a go. It's free, and it's an excellent, excellent game.
In fact,
Harm's Way.
Yeah, Harm's Way, and it was also it was part of the Doritos promotion, wasn't it? They gave it away.
Yes, it was.
The other game was awful. Don't play that. It was like
Doritos Crash Course.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Not in comparison to Harm's Way. Harm's Way was a
Well,
great
that's
little
kind of unfair. Sort of like one's it's a knockout in video game form, and the other one was an incredibly innovative free driving game.
It wasn't It's Knockout. It was Total Wipeout. It's Knockout in video game form would be amazing. Just giant king head costumes running around a pineapple, especially if it's got Keith Chegwin in. I'd buy that. Digital Keith Chegwin, cheeky Keith Chegwin, flashing his tackle at me as I've run around the road with a giant jelly balanced on my belly. That'd be great.
You need therapy.
I do. Right, we've got a question, Dalek. In the Monday Movie Show, people have come into a gaming podcast and talk about films. Yes, self-serving bastards. They said, what do we think of Hugh Laurie being cast, or rumoured to be cast as the bad guy in the RoboCop remake?
Brilliant. Can't say anything bad about Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie spent an enormous amount of time back in our childhoods playing second fiddle to Stephen Fry, and when you've seen him doing proper acting in stuff like House, and then you go back and watch a bit of Fry and Laurie sketches. If you in particular watch a sketch called Mr. Burmy, which is Stephen Fry bringing his Burmese cat into a vet and Hugh Laurie playing the foil. Stephen Fry is doing all the movement in that sketch. He's jumping about, is being wacky, is being eccentric, is being British. And Hugh Laurie is just sat there looking away from him and going, oh, Jesus Christ. And it starts to occur to you how much talent you need to be Stephen Fry's foil and still come off looking as good as him. And that's it, really. He is a genius. He is an underrated genius, and it's taken us decades to realise it.
Well,
so more Hugh Laurie, bring it on. Let him come.
Yeah.
All over me.
On the subject of geniuses in relation to Hugh Laurie, Kotoba in our chat window. This is.
I think it's meant to be Kotoba.
All right, whatever. He's the guy that won the Back to
Kotoba.
Konnichiwa,
my lotus flower. God, what is this? The Rosetta Stone advert.
Fuck yourself. Yeah, just reminded me. I still haven't posted that DeLorean either. I must get around to doing that. He said, in relation to Hugh Laurie being in a RoboCop, didn't he buy it for $1? Brilliant. That was brilliant. I didn't get it at first, but I do now. So well done.
Can you fly, Bobby? That's actually Red Foreman from that 70s show, Kurtwood Smith.
Yes.
Who was also in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Genius.
Clarence Bodicker. Yeah.
Clarence Bodicker.
Great film. RoboCop's a great film. I'm quite excited about a remake. I enjoyed the RoboCop TV series, Prime Directives. That was quite good. It had a black guy RoboCop as well. So that was good. And I even watched the entire live-action one with Pudface Morgan. Was it Pudface Morgan, the main bad guy in that? I'm not going to Google it, but I'm pretty sure it says Pudface Morgan.
I've always secretly hoped for a reboot of RoboCop 3 on the Amiga, because it was a brilliantly produced game with an original plot, but the gameplay was just appalling. You had to load several different, each level from disk at a time, and then it got up to the FPS level, and you'd turn the wrong way and get a grenade in the back, and then it would send you back to the start of the game.
Right. Problem being?
Problem being that you had to go through half an hour of gameplay and be sent back to the start on your choice of turning left or right.
Right.
With no indication of which one you were meant to turn to.
But surely that's a metaphor for being blind, isn't it?
You're a metaphor for being blind.
Right, okay.
Because you wank so much. That's what I was doing there.
Well, I can't help it. I found that picture of Susan Foreman on the back of a Doctor Who annual from 1973. That was enough for me. Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay, well, the last thing on my list is iPad versus Android. That was your thing.
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason I brought this up in the first place was because I I have actually found something about Android that I don't like. Thank you. It's a pretty even match between iPad and Android. iPad is your mum who insists on staying at the school with you during your first day, otherwise she'll pull you out of school. Whereas Android is your creepy uncle who encourages you to try new things, but makes you promise not to tell your mum about it, otherwise you'll go to prison. Paul from the Gamescast says that the iPad is a lot of cock. And I agree, it is a lot of cock because you're always trying to get me to have a go on yours, but I'm scared to in case I like it. But it was Beeline Games that finally led me to my realization that there is actually something wrong with Android. I was planning a piece for the Lolocaust on zombie-related takeoffs of Zynga products, and I played Zombie Farm and Zombie Cafe. And I got to Zombie Cafe, and I realized that that it was basically broken. The friend system didn't work. The player random level didn't work. So I had a look on the internet, and apparently it's been broken since last year. And they have no plans of fixing it. So I tried one of Beeline's other games, Smurf Village, and that is similarly broken for Android. Now, I had a bit of a look around, and this is by no means a unique situation. We fandroids are treated very much as the poor relations in terms of mobile games. And the reason for this is that I think the market situation at the moment is comparable to how Android is kind of like PC was in the late 80s, early 90s. It hasn't emerged as a legitimate gaming platform in itself yet. And the basic choice that the average developer has is develop for one platform which is completely standard, one resolution, one chipset, one graphics set, you're done. Which now is the iOS and then was consoles, Atari ST Amiga. And on the other hand, Android, or PCs then, which is anything at all. You can run an Android on anything. You could be literally running the thing on any device you could imagine. So you're trying to anticipate any possible hardware issues that could possibly exist. So it's just a gigantic headache for developers developing something for the Android. And until either Android establishes itself properly or developers pull their finger out, it's not going to be possible. So what I would say to what I would say to Apple owners at the moment is that when we haughty fandroids make fun of the ant-like conformity which Apple forces on you, I would say be proud of that. Be proud of that now. Trumpet it. Because it is a good thing about your platform. Even if it's the only one.
Well, there you go.
Well, somebody wanted a rant. There you go.
Oh, well,
a gentlemanly rant.
I was going to say, yeah, very
nonetheless.
gentlemanly. That was almost like you had a little top hat on, laying back in a high-backed armchair, a glass of Pinot Noir.
Fredo's very, very drunk.
Wow, either way. Well, you know, that's the long-running argument, is it? That Android owners will decry the kind of the freedom it gives, but there is a price to pay for freedom, which is
bloatware. That's the biggest issue at the moment is bloatware. I mean, the amount of spyware you get on an Android is silly, but equally you can remove that. Try removing stuff that you don't want on an iPhone. It's not going to happen.
No, that's true. That's true. HDD says your rant wasn't very good. He said, call that a rant. That's not a rant. But I think, you know, sometimes a rant you have to go in with a delicate...
I think we've all lost a bit of the rant lately.
I think
when I was on the Gamecast with Paul, he was meant to do a rant and he couldn't be fucked either.
No. like with E3, I was going to do a selection of live shows, and I watched the first one, and I just thought, nothing has infused me enough to be excited.
I know.
Or
It's
angry.
like if somebody had said to you 2 years ago that there would be an E3 and Sony and Microsoft would be dragging their heels and only one company would have a new console they were going to unveil dramatically, and everyone would go, I mean, what would you have said to them? You'd have spat in their eye and torn out the eye and wiped your ass on the eye and stamped on the eye. And God, how did the game industry get in this much of a mess?
Well, the title of this show sums up my entire feelings of the Nintendo one.
The title of this show?
Yeah, I feel just like...
Wait, are we on air?
We're on air. You know we're on air. You can see the big red light glowing in the corner. Look, over above Larry the Lobster Raptor's nest.
I thought that was Hal.
No. It was there. It was there when the previous...
Open the shed doors, Nathan.
I'm not going to open the shed doors. I don't want to open the shed doors. But no, when Roxanne used to live here, she used to put that on. So we used it for the show. But yeah.
Don't open the shed doors. Where am I going to sleep?
Yeah, you can have the bath tonight.
Ooh, dare to dream.
It's a dream. I'll even let you have a little pillow because you've done well tonight, Dalek. You've done well. Anyway, as I was
My mother says I'm a good boy.
This episode is, I feel, just like a purple Pikmin. And I think Reggie kind of symbolises everything that's wrong with E3. Everything.
To the Saki Pikmin, to your eater.
Because you can say what you like about Mr. Iwata standing in front of... And you can pull me up on pronunciation if you like, you bloody grinder. But him standing in front of that picture, holding those bananas for 6 seconds, then putting them down, that was brilliant. That's the sort of thing we want from E3. The zombie killing video showing off some of the social interaction features of the Wii U was cheesy as fuck, but it showed you everything it needed to show you, and it just kept you entertained enough that you didn't phase out. And then you get Reggie, the podgy-faced, creepy pedo bear in a human suit, Reggie, walking around on the stage like some crazy uncle that nobody's had the sense to put in a home yet. Reggie, who talks weird little lines that, if they were scripted, the scriptwriter is either a genius or clinically ill. And if they're made up on the spot, surely that's a warning enough. Reggie. I hate you, Reggie Fils-Aime. I hate you so much. All I want is a comedy Japanese person telling me about Nintendo stuff. Not some podgy face, like, I don't know.
Speaking of comedy,
He looks
Japanese
like somebody
people.
from Morocco that's been inflated.
Seriously, yeah. Have you ever noticed that Shigeru Miyamoto looks like Pigsy from Monkey?
Yeah, he does a bit.
He does.
He's the sort of person that, as he gets older, his teeth are taking more prominence on his face. Eventually, he's just going to be one giant mouth that just opens and swallows the whole of Nintendo's kind of money.
If there's one thing that I would like to leave on with E3, it's that everybody was really, really down on Usher advertising Dance Central or whatever it was. And I think they missed the announcement that Snoop Doggy Dogg is going to be in Tekken.
I missed that. It doesn't surprise
I
me.
missed that too. That came to me courtesy of my correspondent, Resident 4. Who is known to you already?
Yes. But well, actually, Snoop Doggy Dogg has form with this kind of thing because he teamed up with Zynga a couple of years ago to promote their Mafia Wars game, where he was basically going to blow up a bank truck full of money in the Las Vegas desert if enough people clicked on a video. So yeah, he seems to have form for this kind of thing. So there you go, listeners.
Agar advertised Farmville as well.
Yeah.
It's all right. I still want to.
That's a good idea. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up. There. We've gone well over our hour. That's a good thing, though. Filled it with content. Filled it with stuff. So, thank you very much to everybody. It's been good. Thank you, Dalek, for joining in there. That was
my pleasure.
Really helpful. Thank you to Hock over in the distance.
Oh, shit, strawberries.
Yeah, you go sort your strawberries out. I'll go and make Hock an apologetic fruit basket. And we'll see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
We are the Lolocaust. Our effect is massive, and our combat is mortal. Our gear is solid, and our brothers are super. Our cry is far, and our evil is residential. Our space is dead, and our dance is just. Our princesses are fat, and our birds are angry. Our cores are hard, and our fantasies are final. We are the Lolocaust.